So I started off as a night cleaner. We are only privileged because of what our past generation has done for us. So in order to make lives better for our future generations, we need to work even harder. And we were supervisors, we were cleaners, we were managers, we were the CEO. More than doubled the workforce since we started off COVID.
And then you're more profitable now.
Yeah, I think I've pivoted mostly to, you want it now? I'll give it to you now. So speed, it will be what dominates the service industry over the next decade or so.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Service Business Show. My name is Jingjing, and today we have the CEO of Single, Saifred, in our show. Welcome, Saifred. Maybe give everyone a quick introduction of who you are and then what does Single do.
Hi, Jingjing. Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Saifred, and I run a cleaning company in Singapore. So we mainly focus on cleaning on the hospitality side. We do home cleaning as well, and we do a little F&B stewarding as well.
Cool, very cool. And I think one of the reason I reach out to you is because obviously, we work together, back then when I was working at HealthLink, but also I thought your family story is quite interesting. Because your family has been doing this for what? Almost 100 years?
No. It's not that long. Close to 30 years.
30 years, but it
Yeah.
started out from your grandparents' generation, right?
Not the cleaning itself. So the cleaning was started off by my dad, so about 30 years ago. And then over the last few years, after I finished my army, I slowly started to get into the business. And
Right.
then right now I'm fully running the business.
Right. And what part of cleaning that attracts you to want to kind of take over the ship?
So basically, the cleaning industry is not a very modern type of business to be in, right? I think it's seen as a very old school industry. It's not as exciting as the new tech companies that are popping out all the time, right? It's a very old business. It's a very labor intensive business. But I found that it's good to be first in whatever that you do. And I find myself to be the first in many things, being the first in my generation to come in, right? There are not many people, young people my age, who are coming into the business at this moment of time. I'm not sure how it is in the future, but I find myself to be the youngest wherever I go. So that was very attractive to me because I feel that I'm first in my generation, which means that I will bring different insights. I'll bring new insights, new experiences, and new fire to this old industry that we are in.
Yeah. Since you mentioned that you're the youngest, how old are you?
I am 28 this year.
28 this year.
Yes,
and then
I'm
you've been
28.
running the business for how many years now?
So fully running the business, I would say, is post-COVID. So just after COVID, I fully integrated myself in the management side of the business.
Yeah.
So probably about 4 years. And then before
4
that,
years.
I came in the company at about 21. So when I came in, of course, I started off on the bottom. And then I worked my way up as a supervisor, as a site manager, and then I managed to be in charge of a few sites.
Yeah.
And then I went into things like HR, sales, and then that is how I got to the point where I am now.
So what do you mean by you started out from the bottom? Can you walk me through how it was like for you when you first started out?
So my journey in the company started just after I finished my junior college education. So that was in 2015. I think it was 2015. So back then, I was waiting to go into the army. And then I had free time. I had about 5 months where I wasn't going to do much. So the company had new projects starting then. So I started off as a night cleaner at one of the hotels in Sentosa, right? So I started off then, and then I took a break from the army. But I was lucky that during the period of time when I was in the army, I was able to find some time on the side to help out with the business and to learn things on the side as well.
Okay, so you started out as a night cleaner. Where do you normally clean? Toilets, the hallway?
So what I was mainly in charge of was the vacuuming of ballrooms and the washing of the toilets. So we had, I think I had five other team members, five, where we split to do certain jobs.
Right.
So I was mainly in charge of the toilets and the ballrooms. So whenever they would have ballroom functions, so most people don't see the part where after they leave, what happens, right? So
Yeah.
after the event is over, that's where I come in.
So your working hours back then is probably like
It was
11
11,
p.m.
yeah, it was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
And then you were probably the only one working in the hotel while everyone's asleep.
No, not exactly, but because we split up, we always split up like between the six of us. There were
Right.
five other guys with me, so each person had their own duty. So I was in the ballroom mostly myself. So
Right.
there's where many interesting things happened, and then I got my first insight to what really happens in the night. Yeah.
So what really happens in the night?
So you would experience things that you don't experience in the morning. Things like you see things that are moving around, things that are not supposed to move around on their own. Yeah. When you go to the toilets will flush on their own, and then you will feel people standing by your side, but you know that no one is there, right? Yeah, but after a while, you get used to things like that, and then you just say it in your mind or you say out loud that, oh, I'm just here to work, so don't disturb me, and you'll be fine, and you'll be fine. Initially, it was very nerve wracking because as a 18-year-old, I didn't have much opportunities to work outside before that. Right. So given my first job, my first experience was a night shift job.
Yeah.
I think I experienced the most things then that most people would experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we all heard about like supernatural things happening in a hotel, right? But this is the first time I heard from someone who actually experienced it. Do you experience it in every single hotel in at night?
Not every single hotel, but I would say most older because the hotels in Singapore are mostly on older lands, right? So it's not that the hotel has been there for 1 year or 2 years. It's just before that there were hotels there, even though the hotels are new, right? So I think things just tend to stay there for quite a bit. So yeah, not
Right.
not every place, and not every place you feel things as well. It's just certain places where things just come to say hi to you in the night. Yeah, so it's something that most people will not get to experience, right? Because most of the time, if you feel something, you have a choice to leave.
Right.
But when you're there working, you have no choice.
So okay, okay, that's very interesting insight in terms of hotel cleaning. Just to summarize, right? In the evening, you are just working the shift yourself, starting out as a cleaner with six of your colleagues,
Yeah.
and then there's some things happen, and then did it scare you away at all? Like it, like
No,
it's a family
not
business,
really.
right? Yeah,
Basically, growing up, I have always been a very hands-on person as well. I like to see things for myself. I like to do things for myself before I make
yeah,
before I make certain comments about certain things. Right. So I feel that if I were to run the company in the future, back then, if I were to run the company in the future, I need to know everything. So I wouldn't know everything if I were to just come in from the top, right? You have to build yourself up to the bottom, and then when you reach the top, that's when you can say that you experience everything.
yeah,
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 so basically that was the main mindset that I had when I started off. Even though it was a short 5 months, it was 5 months that I wouldn't say it was wasted. It was the most valuable 5 months I would say throughout my whole journey because things that I learned, things that I experienced, I wouldn't experience it if I were to be placed in from the top.
yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then that kind of also explains why now both you and your brother, you guys are very, how do I put it? You guys are able to manage different stakeholders, not only managing external partnerships, but also being able to handle workers on the ground
Yeah.
because you've experienced that. Were there a day that you walk in, you're just like, oh my God, waking up, I have to go clean up other people's shit, other people's other people's mess, and then you just feel like giving up.
Yeah, so I think the toughest time for us would be emerging out of COVID because hospitality wasn't doing very well,
Mm,
right? We had basically zero business from the time that we were in lockdown. And then that was actually not the toughest part. The toughest part was emerging out of it because I think many people were too used to just being at home,
yeah.
right? And even myself, right, when I started coming out, it took a while to adjust because we've just been home for too long.
Yeah.
Right? So moving out then, when we had certain contracts, we wouldn't have enough staff. So my brother and I would be the ones doing the job again, right?
Right.
So uh, we were washing kitchens daily, and then even though the project was not new, right, but we didn't have the the,
Staff.
the manpower that we required to do the kitchen. So it ended up being my brother and I washing the
Mm-hmm.
kitchens, and then once we were done, we would go back, and then the next morning we had to come to the office to do the HR, to do the sales, to do the management. So that period of time, I think it was around 2021, end of 2021, it was one of the toughest times for us. We there are certain times where we ask each other, do we see the light at the end of the tunnel? You know, but and then we always tell ourselves, if there's no light, we got to create
Yeah.
our own light, right? Because the only
Yeah.
thing that will keep you moving forward is hope.
Yeah. How do you stay motivated in tough period like that? Because you are basically working nonstop, right?
Yeah, I don't think motivation was the problem because we just knew what we needed to do, and then complaining about what we need to do, or what we didn't want to do, wouldn't solve the issue anyway. The way to solve issues is always to just do it, just do what you need to do, and then the results will show for itself, right? Whether it be good or bad, right? We will just have to do it first, and then we assess it from there. Because just sitting back and complaining and whining does nothing. It does
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to help the
Yeah.
situation. So we created our own light in the tunnel, and then we managed to emerge out from the darkness that we were in. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, a lot of young people nowadays, they're just thinking about, the government should do more to help us to get through this period, etc. And then just like staying at home and then literally just in a downward spiral, right? But while you and your brother stay very hopeful and positive and try to find ways to get out of the situation yourself, I think that's a quality that you don't really see amongst a lot of young people. Where do you think you get that from?
I think having those qualities comes from just what experiences that you have before. My
Yeah,
generation of children, of adults are very, very comfortable being in Singapore, right? You're basically, if you're born Singaporean, you are like 99% most lucky people on the planet, right?
yeah,
You just lead a life of comfort since you were born, right? So I feel like to stand out in this age is to start doing things that is very uncomfortable for you. Discomfort in a sense of creating certain opportunities, creating certain situations where most people wouldn't want to do it, but yet you still couldn't do it anyway, right? Only then you have stories to tell. Only then you have experiences to share. Because most people my age would not have gone through what I've gone through in the past 8 years in their whole lives.
yeah,
They would have literally less than 10% of what I've experienced.
yeah,
So this time I can never take back. What I've experienced I can never take back. And then just based on this, I feel that I'm years ahead of my peers, and the experiences that I get is invaluable. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Obviously, you taking over the business and then being very hands-on is one thing, right? But at the same time, not everyone who would take the opportunity to do this. There are actually like I know probably like 10 other families in Singapore where they run a very big facility management company. Now the second generation taking over. You guys are the most hands-on people I've ever seen. So there must be something. Was there an event happen in your life previously make you feel like, okay, only I'm the only person who can make my life better, have this kind of realization? Or was it just like gradually you just feel like, okay, this is the right path you have to take?
I think it's more of a gradual thing. So
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly when I had this thought, but maybe I had it since forever. But I always had this thought of doing things against the norm, right?
Okay.
So
That's not very
yeah,
common in
yeah, that's
Singapore.
not common at all. So if people were to take this path, I
Yeah.
have to take the other path to stand out, right? It goes for the same. Like I was offered to go into the universities in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
But I figured that if everyone my generation is gonna have a university degree,
Yeah.
me having one would not make me stand out at all, right? Which is why I did not choose that path and I went the other path instead. But knowing the consequences that will come with it as well, right? Not having the university degree means that I can never fall back on that piece of paper to have a job, right? I had to carve out my own path. I
Yeah.
knew how hard I had to work because of those
Yeah.
5 months that I had. I knew how hard my people were gonna work, which means that I need to work harder than them. And
Mm.
then just this mindset of not doing things with the norm, I think has brought me to where I am mostly.
Mm.
I always like to sit back and see, okay, what are most people doing, right? And then do I wanna be where they are? Because if I don't want to be where they are, I would need to do something opposite of what they have done.
Right.
So doing opposite things from the norm will make me special.
And then how does that work out for you so far? Ever since you took over the business from your dad, has
So
the
the service industry in the past has mostly been on service qualities and service standards, right?
yeah.
But based on what I'm seeing these days, and I think this is a very new concept to the service industry as well, I don't value quality as much as speed.
Ah,
So
interesting.
yeah, so for me, being fast is the most important because for people my generation, it's all about speed, right? We want it fast, we want it now. Having being fast makes it special, right? Instead of waiting for something, okay, I'm gonna wait for it, but it's okay, it's of a better quality, and
Yeah.
that kind of mindset. I think I've pivoted mostly to you want it now, I'll give it to you now, right? Because not many people can give it to you now, right? So that
Interesting.
is yeah. So speed, I think is it will be what dominates the service industry over the next decade or so. Being fast, being there, like what I said, it's very new to the service industry. So I don't think many people are very used to it. But having the ability to say, yes, I can do it, or no, I can't do it because I'll be too slow, I think that will set us apart from the rest of the service providers.
Yeah. It's what's interesting is that I mean, obviously my own company now, Superbench, is built on this whole thesis. Speed trumps accuracy of the information trumps tone.
Yeah,
Like even nowadays, every single day, right? Because I mean,
yeah.
AI respond to customers' inquiries first,
Hmm.
right? And then before scheduling whatever. Every single day, like half of clients will reply first saying that, oh, thanks for the prompt reply. Thanks for
Yeah,
replying so fast. People appreciate it.
yeah.
Like
Speed,
when I
speed
see
is
them like,
key.
yeah. And then especially they can't really tell it's AI, but later they realize, oh, like initially when we first started, realize, oh, you're AI. But they will still keep coming back. Hey, AI, book this for me. So that's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like instead of just taking time for someone to be there to craft out like a custom reply, right?
yeah,
Sometimes I think sometimes what the customers want to see is like, I have an issue now. I'm gonna tell you the issue, and then you're gonna let me know when you can solve it, how you can solve it as soon as possible.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think it's the speed that makes it luxurious now.
Such a great statement. I'm gonna steal it.
Speed
Speed.
is luxury.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like even if you offer the best, concierge kind of service, if you're slow, then
Yeah,
it doesn't
you're
work.
just you're just second place, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
this is especially for the new generation, the younger people that are coming into the working world,
yeah,
and maybe I would say mid 20s to late 30s, right? The speed is key because
yeah,
it's not that we have a lot of time on our hands, and I would say it's not that this generation has a lot of disposable income at their hands as well.
yeah,
So the only way to replace something of high quality is with speed, right? There must always be a trade-off, and but I think the newer generation would always pick speed over luxury and quality.
yeah. But the thing is that if you want to always provide this speedy reply,
Yeah.
speedy resolution, that's like an army of people has to sit
Yeah,
on the line, right?
yeah, precisely.
So
But
how do you do it right now?
you basically make the flow of information very short, right? So you create as little red tape as possible. So information flow has to be streamlined to the maximum. Yeah. So this is where we have to get very involved with the day to day operations, with the day to day requirements.
Yeah.
The more you streamline that process, the faster you'll be. Right? Instead of like for my case, instead of the cleaner going to the supervisor going to the area manager go to the overall manager, and then there's a few more other steps, right? But
Yeah.
if I'm in the group chat with the cleaners, and if I have a look at it, it's instant. Yeah. So I put myself in their shoes as well by
Yeah.
being in their day to day work, being in their day to day lives, which makes things easier because I don't have to fully understand the situation. I don't
Right.
have to find out. We don't have to go through many different people so that I can get the information, and that may distort the accuracy of the information as well. Being using technology to be where everybody is speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at the same time, you only have limited time.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
then you are handling all different functions in the company, right? How do you ensure that you always reply really fast?
So what I do is I try to keep the middle tier of people very little. So I go top heavy and bottom heavy.
I see.
Yeah. So it's not that having a thick middle tier is bad. It's just that for how I operate, I think
Yeah.
it would slow us down greatly.
Yeah.
So having a thick top tier and the thick lower tier, there is direct information, right?
Yeah.
Just have to go through the middle tier of people, and then the top group of us have to be more interactive with the lower group,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so the flow of information is cut short by half at least. So top heavy, bottom heavy, I think might be the way to go for at least the next 10 years, where speed is still essential.
100%, 100%. My friend who's running a like a manager coaching I don't know, performance management business, it's called
Mm-hmm.
Loop, right? I used to have this conversation with him, and then we were just saying that there's so many managers who are literally just like a mic, passing the information from the bottom to the top. Even at my previous podcast, with someone from Australia, and he was telling me that the biggest headache that he has is middle management. It's really difficult to work with a lot of them because some of them they just get the title and they're not making sure the problems stop at their side, right? They always have to they pass it up and
Yeah,
down, like they're just
yeah,
passing information. And you see companies are working so much better with once you remove the middle tier.
yeah,
It's so much more efficient. But
yeah,
then the problem comes when you start scaling because
yeah.
the bottom, you have a lot of people. So every day you have a lot of inquiries, right? So do you see this at all? Like as you scale, each person initially from managing, let's say 50 to 100 people now managing 500 people. I don't know how big scale. How,
Okay.
how do you solve this problem?
So I think it basically boils down to what you want to do in the business, right?
Yeah.
So some businesses like to scale. They like to
Yeah.
scale really, really big, really quickly, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think the top heavy and the bottom heavy approach would do well
Yeah.
if you're trying to scale quickly, right? But for the way I run businesses, I tend to like a slow and moderate growth. I don't like to
Mm.
scale quickly because I think that just leaves inefficiency.
Mm.
And when there's inefficiency, you end up coming back to fill up the inefficiency anyways.
Yeah.
So I would pick a short term smooth growth curve over something very quick anyways. So
Gotcha.
the more I can fill up the top heavy roles,
Yeah.
the smoother the curve will be.
Yeah.
Because for the way I run businesses, I don't really like middle heavy companies. Maybe
Yeah.
that may be my limiting factor to how big I can grow, right? But end of the day is what I want, and how I really want to run all my companies is not that I want to grow as big as possible, because I'm still
Yeah.
young. I have many more years to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a growth path where it's very sustainable.
Yeah.
Everybody can be kept together as a team and we grow along
Mhm.
with everybody, not just growing and then leaving so many people behind. Right. I like to bring my people along with me for the roller coaster ride, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's one thing about traditional business is that you want to run a profitable business and
Yeah.
having a sustainable growth. That's a key. And a lot of business that you see is that as they grow, right? Like initially I saw like their cleaning companies, for example, their margin started out with 20%. The moment they double their headcount, it goes down to 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know that they did not set up the foundation to grow, and they're just throwing a lot of money marketing, just onboarding clients as much as they can. They did not see the pain, as you grow, you have to pay taxes, you have to implement
Yeah.
technology, you have to start paying like invoicing software, manpower management software, like
Not
all these things
not
adds
not
up.
that that is wrong. Not that that
Yeah.
is wrong. At the end of the day, it really depends on what you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Depends on what the company really wants. But for me, I would pick I would pick that approach, right? Because I feel like I got a long way to go. I'm probably the first few of my generation in this industry, and
Yeah.
for me to continue running the business, I would have to pick a very sustainable growth. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that I'm looking to exit next year. Right? If I
Yeah.
was looking to exit next year, then things would be totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you have experience in both, commercial side, like B2B contract. So you like help hotels, right, to clean up their mess. That's one thing. And you also have residential arm as well. What do you think is the biggest difference?
That's a very good question. And it's very interesting because before meeting you, I would have never thought that I would have gone B2C,
Mm,
right? Because that was also one of my worries.
mm,
How do I handle so many customers?
mm,
Yeah, so I think having starting off on the B2C side has opened my mind to a lot of different things. It has opened a lot about sales
mm-hmm.
and the way I can potentially structure the company in the future. Yeah,
Tell
because
me more.
it's
I'm very
it's it's
interested
it's,
to hear
it's
that.
totally different going from B2B to B2C, right? And I think I found a sweet spot where I can do both.
By
Yeah.
partnering up with platforms.
Yes, and
Yeah.
also not only just partnering up the platforms, right? There is no free money, there is no easy money. But then I had to set up something a bit different. So not a big change, but something different, where
Yeah.
this small group of people have a different mindset compared to the B2B side of things.
Yeah.
Not that not that there is no managing to be done. I mean, the platform does help me a lot. For us to do well on the platform takes quite a bit of homework as well, because you can only extract as much as you give. I think the biggest difference would be the way you acquire clients.
Mm,
It's totally different. B2B, there's not much advertising you can do.
yeah.
There is almost, I have tried cold calling. I have tried to meet up with people. It doesn't really work well. With B2B comes more of reputation, comes a lot from
Mm,
recommendation. And then with B2C, because you're not just trying to acquire 3 customers for the year,
yeah.
right? You're trying to acquire like 3,000,
Yes.
right? There's only a limit to how many doors you can knock.
Yeah.
There's only a limit to how many places you can go to. So acquiring the clientele is completely different from what I've been used to. And then seeing how that the platform has done it, seeing how that we could do it has opened my mind to different possibilities, because I've been so focused on B2B, right? Hyper focused until I shut my mind off to whatever it is outside. So it is a good and bad thing, right? But with partnering up with others, I see how there are other types of businesses out there. So I would say the main difference is just the customer acquisition.
Yeah.
Other than that, processes are roughly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly the same. The amount of effort you need to put in is the same. It's just the sales and the acquiring is totally different. It's on different ends of the scale.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think Definitely on the B2C side, right? Especially in the general cleaning business, it's a repeatable business, and you have to make sure your retention, you make money from good retention.
Yeah.
Versus B2B is like once you win a contract, you're locked in for a year or
Yeah.
two, right?
Yeah.
And you just need to sort out the day to day, but at least you're safe. It's more stable. While on the B2C side, you have to, the touch points is a lot more frequent.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
also you're dealing with individual households. So the volume is much bigger. The cost to serve a customer is much higher than
Yeah.
B2B. So
Yeah.
that's why you see like initially when I first start looking for companies to work with us, right? The first problem they were thinking is, oh, B2C, so much trouble. I don't want to deal with it. On a daily basis, I get so many complaints. I don't want to deal with like 10 complaints instead of B2B. Like they get 10 complaints in a month, right?
Yeah.
So the moment they
B2C, you get 10 complaints in like an hour.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but what they don't get is that once you run it well, it's a loop, like a
Yeah.
growth
It,
loop
it can be
that
very repeatable.
exactly.
It can be a set. It can be a set frame, right? Where it can be repeated over and over again. Pretty
Yeah,
much the framework is the same. But with
yeah,
B2B, there is no fixed framework, right? It may take you 10 years to get this one particular contract. But if you try to apply this framework for the next project, it may take you only 1 year, or it may take you less than that. So, but with the B2C side, things are more fixed.
yeah.
Processes can be repeated. Yeah, but yeah, at the same time, it's very hard to get the correct framework for it, because once you get the winning formula, it's a hit. But the issue is how many people can get that winning formula.
Yeah, that's 100% true. No, honestly, I've seen quite some acquisition happening in the market. Some bigger company purchasing over smaller home service companies. For example, I've seen dishwashing company getting acquired, pest control as well.
Yeah.
After the acquisition, I realized not a lot of them can make it, can
Hmm.
really operate the business. They see it more like a, initially they thought it's strategic acquisition, but actually you actually need to know how to operate the business in order to acquire it, to make sure to have a successful acquisition. You
Yeah,
know?
because one cleaning company can have their winning formula, but if you acquire it and then you try to change that formula, it doesn't work any well. It
Yeah,
doesn't. So, what is special to that particular cleaning company is what keeps them alive over the past few years, right?
yeah,
And then changing that will just give you an empty shell.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. What do you think is the biggest difference in between how your dad used to run the business versus how you run it right now?
That's a very interesting question. I think I think the main difference would be, obviously the mindset is different. When my dad started out the businesses, was mostly for survival. Right, we had to find a way to survive when during a time where it was not easy to survive.
Yeah,
But me having this amazing base when I set it up, it was not about survival anymore. It's about taking it up to the next level. So if I were to adopt the same mindset and the same strategies that he had, would mean that I would be running the business for survival, which is not what
mm,
I'm looking for. Right? I want to run the company to be even more profitable.
mm,
I want to make more money. Right?
mm,
So there are certain things that I have to change, certain
mm.
mindsets that I have to change, certain things that I have to do different, which is where I talked about earlier on speed and quality. So
Right,
that
right.
is one of the main changes that I see and that I've implemented and I've taken over. Because it's not easy to come into an old industry and to have a different mindset, because
Yeah,
everyone is still stuck with the old ways of doing things. But
yeah,
then again, if you don't change, then you're just left behind. You gotta be at the different ends of the spectrum, right? You can't be in the middle. You gotta be either here or you gotta be either here. If you're in the middle, then you're just a leaf in the wind, just waiting for the wind to blow you, and then you just end up wherever you want.
yeah. Definitely, you have to take initiative to think about, okay, what's the future going to be like,
Yeah,
right? You need to have a vision.
yeah.
So when you talk about taking the business to the next level, you talk about more profitable. Can you define, if you were going to talk about the company's mission vision, what is it? What's the end game for a single?
I think the end game for us is to run a business that's very sustainable, moderate growth every year, but to grow as much as we can every year sustainably, meaning that our top management is not overboarded by having too much inflow of projects, having too much issues on the end that they have not settled, and then just having that steady growth for the next at least 10 years
Yeah.
where everybody can keep up together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I think is the not end goal, but the forever goal, to have something that is sustainable, not slow,
Yeah.
but sustainable, and then not re-changing the whole market, but
Yeah.
to give this idea of quality with speed.
Very interesting. I think I like how you have already observed the new kind of trend in the market, right? How to serve the clients better. And you can see that nowadays people value speed over quality, right? Obviously, you're serving a slightly different target audience, which is the younger generation. And these are the people going to stay here for the next 50 years, right? So
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So lastly, is there any key takeaway that you have for people, let's say people in the current generation?
Okay, I think our generation has been very comfortable since we were born up to today. So I think the only way for us to do better than our forefathers is to take more risk, right? And to work harder than how they have really worked. Right? There is absolutely no way we can improve in our lives and improve from what they have done by just sitting down and reaping the rewards of what
Yeah.
they have done for us. We
Yeah.
need to work hard and treat working hard as the norm, not saying that, oh, we need to work less. Less is more. Less is never more. More is always more. Right? We need to have this. We need to stop this mindset of being so privileged.
Yeah.
We are only privileged because of what our past generation has done for us. So in order to make lives better for our future generations, we need to work even harder and harder and harder. So the key takeaway is work harder.
So straightforward. Just
Yeah.
work hard,
Yeah, just work hard. There's no magic formula to it. If you are putting in 12 hours a day, put in 13, put in 4, put in
Yeah.
14. Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing can replace hard work. We
Yeah.
are so blessed to have so much with technology, what our parents didn't used to have. Right now, you can just make money with a snap of a finger. You don't need to find a job. You can just make money using a computer.
Yeah.
Right? Opportunities are endless. Opportunities are out there. We just gotta be more perspicacious to look for it, and then you just gotta work hard at it. Hard work beats talent.
100%. 100%. Especially in the industry, in a day and age where, as you mentioned, technology is going to take over. Automation, I wouldn't call it automation, can
Automation.
really make a lot of people's jobs so much easier. Then how you can stand out in this whole in this era is really just to take more risk. 100% agree with you. I think nowadays, especially in Singapore, you rarely see people can bring food on the table.
Mhm.
Then what's left is really just like there's nothing to lose.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing to lose. You
Yeah.
gotta gun for greater heights. And even if you fall, you're in Singapore, you'll survive.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way you're not gonna survive. Right.
Yeah.
But for
Exactly.
me, to lead a life of mediocrity would mean to fall.
I mean, it's like what you said, right? Your dad was running the business for survival.
Yeah.
Now you're taking it to the next level because the ground has been protected,
Yeah.
right? And this is actually the case for a lot of people from the new generation as well. They live at home. They can live very comfortably. They can easily get a job that paid them bare minimum salary, and they can still live okay.
Yeah, you can still survive.
Yeah, exactly.
So survival is not an issue anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
about
then, can
being
you
willing
take the
to
next
gun.
step?
Yeah, it's about willing to gun for the next level. Right? Mediocrity is going to be very common for everybody. Everybody's going to be on the same level. Huge ton of us, we're going to be on the same level. It's so easy to stand out. You just got to put in that bit more effort, and you just jump to the next level. But so I hope our generation can recognize this, that we are all here, right? We're all here to stand out. You just got to do a bit more, and then you'll be out. So
Yeah.
don't settle for mediocrity.
I love
Jump
this.
for the skies.
Yes, exactly. The sky's the limit, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so before we close off, so there's one thing I would love to, let me know if you don't feel comfortable. I
Yeah.
would love to hear how fast the business have grown ever since you took over. You can talk about seven figures, eight figures, it's grown 10% year over year. I'm just trying to figure out, because previously I was asking you a question, ever since you took over, the changes you've done, obviously different mindset, but I would love to hear more about the results. How's it going?
Mm,
If you don't
I
want to share,
wouldn't
that's fine.
I wouldn't want to talk about some growth in terms of monetary terms. I'd like to talk about growth in terms of having more people around me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Because I think money is secondary, right? It's about building a team around you that you can work with, that
Yeah,
understand you. And then with that team you can basically do anything.
right. So how many teams did you start up with?
How many no, we started off with just my brother and I doing everything.
Right. And so
Yeah.
now how many people do you guys have?
In office I think at least 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
what
it's
about
still a
the
small
staff?
team. Or staff since we took over. At least 100 more, right?
So
Yeah.
you so now you probably have what, like couple hundred staff now?
Yeah. Yeah, we have yeah, like we're looking at 200 to 250.
Wow.
I'm actually gunning for more of the the growth of the people beside me, right? Having this
Yeah.
change of mindset allowed more people allowed me to look for more people, allowed for more people to join me in this journey together.
So is it safe to say that you kind of doubled the workforce?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, double the workforce since no, more than double the workforce since we started off COVID.
And then you're more profitable now.
Yeah.
So wow, you double the work, more than double the workforce, and then you're more profitable.
Yes.
There
So
must be some science in
yeah.
this.
So basically, I think that the magic was building a small talented group of people around me,
Yeah,
but only because I have this new mindset, right? Like
yeah,
having people around me would be more of a benefit. Having people that I choose to be around me is more of a benefit than having no one around me, right? Because I think the certain ways that people that maybe the older generation would see is that having people around them may be a form of liability.
yeah,
But for me, having people around me that I trust, that I
yeah,
can work with, takes off a lot of burden off me. Right? I
yeah.
can focus on many different things. I can focus on growth. I can focus on the sustainable growth that I've been looking for. And yet at the same time I can free up more time for myself as well. Because when we first started off COVID in 2020, there was a limit to how much my brother and I could do, right?
Yeah,
There was a physical and mental limit, right? And we were hitting that limit every single day,
yeah,
right? So the only way to stop that from happening is to recruit help from people that I trust, recruit help from
yeah.
people around me. And for me, that is mostly family or people who join me and they end up being like my family anyway.
I think you truly understand that as you need to, when you scale a
Yeah,
labor business, you have to master the power of delegation.
that is very true. That's 100% true.
Without that, you could scale a business with technology, however, not in the labor driven market.
Yes, because you still need to have that human touch, right? You
Yes.
still need to have the person who does that interview. You can't really have uh, you can't really outsource that that interviewing part, right? Because
Yeah.
you still have to see the person. You
Yeah.
still have to see whether he's suitable for this project that you're talking about, this job that you're talking about. So it's not that my brother and I have learned, but
Yeah.
we realized that that is the only way, right? Because when we
Yeah.
first emerged from COVID, we were HR, we were supervisors, we were cleaners, we were managers, we were the CEO. You
Yeah.
know, there is a limit to how much I can do, and opening my eyes to hiring people and to be quick with my hires. To not say that, oh, I think this staff is may not be suited for us. Like he doesn't look very good. No, I hire first, and then I try them out, and then we'll talk about it later,
Yeah.
right? So
Trust but validate. Yeah.
yes, it's about being super fast with the hiring as well, and being super fast with if they're not working out, just letting them go. Speed.
Hiring fast, firing faster.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So honestly, this conversation is very inspiring. I
Thank you.
really hope people listen to this conversation gets the same amount of inspiration that I get from you and your brother. Because honestly, out of all the partners, back then I helping people ask me what's the magic formula for selecting the companies to work with. See, I told them number one, the owner has to be people's manager. They have to know how to work with people because we're in the labor business. Even if
Yeah,
the owner knows technology, but yada yada yada, right? It's not going to be scalable. If they
yeah,
know how to work
that
with
is true.
people, then that's how you can build a sustainable business as you grow. So I do think you and your brother have this are born with this quality, and then you guys put it in good use. So I really look forward to seeing you guys growing even more profitable and faster, and then obviously we're still chatting on WhatsApp. So thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing.
for having me. It's my
Yeah,
honor to come and share with you guys.
yeah, definitely. I'm sure not just me, everyone who's listening to this episode will get inspired in one way or another. So thank you so much for this, and I look forward to see you more in person.
Thank you so much, Ting Ting.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.